Hi, in this part of the video, I am going to solve a few numericals involving chemical kinetics. Let's have a look at this numerical. Determine the rate law equation and calculate the rate constant for the following reaction from the following data. So this is the reaction between persulfate and iodide ions to form sulfate and I3-. The experiment is carried out thrice. Initially, the concentration of persulfate and iodide ions taken was 0.08 moles per liter and 0.034 moles per liter. In that case, the initial rate of the reaction was found to be 2.2 into 10 to the power minus 4. Then the reaction was repeated second time, keeping the concentration of persulfate ions the same. However, the concentration of iodide ions is halved. If you realize, when the concentration of iodide ions is halved, the rate of the reaction is also halved. And when the experiment was carried out the third time, the initial concentration of persulfate ion was double as compared to earlier. So it is 0.16 right now, double of 0.08. Whereas the concentration of iodide ions is kept the same as the second experiment, that is at 0.017 moles per liter. The initial rate of the experiment in this case is found to be double of that in experiment number 2. Now we need to determine the order of the reaction. In order to determine the rate law equation, we need to determine the order of the reaction with respect to persulfate ions and with respect to iodide ions. So the rate law expression can be written as K persulfate concentration raised to X into iodide concentration raised to Y, where X and Y are the orders of the reaction with respect to persulfate and iodide ions respectively, and the overall order of the reaction obviously is X plus Y. As we can see from experiment number 1 and 2, the persulfate concentration is kept the same, however iodide concentration is halved. Now if iodide concentration is halved and the iodide concentration is halved, now what do we see from here? The rate of the reaction is also halved. In that case, we can say that the order of the reaction with respect to iodide ions is 1, because if iodide concentration is raised to 1, then on halving the iodide concentration, the rate of the reaction will also halve. We can write it like this: rate 1 is K times 0.08 raised to X into 0.034 raised to Y. The second time the rate is K times, K doesn't change obviously, it's a rate constant, 0.08 raised to X into 0.017 raised to Y. If I take the ratio of these two, what we'll get is R1 upon R2 is equal to 0.034 raised to Y upon 0.017 raised to Y. Basically I cancelled out K as well as 0.08 raised to X. Now the rate of the reaction initially was 2.2 into 10 to the power minus 4, and the second time it was 1.1 into 10 to the power minus 4. And here I can take the power common and write this whole thing as raised to Y. So in that case this is 2, and in the brackets this is 2 and 2 is raised to Y. So obviously since 2 means 2 is raised to 1, automatically we can conclude that Y is equal to 1. So order of the reaction with respect to iodide ions is 1. Similarly, it can be proved that order of the reaction with respect to persulfate ions is also 1, and hence overall order of the reaction is 1 plus 1 equal to 2. The question demands that we also calculate the rate constant for the reaction. Now once we know the order, we automatically know the rate law expression, and since we know the rate of the reaction in experiment number 1, which is 2.24 into 10 to the power minus 4, and since we know the concentration of both the reactants, we can rearrange this particular equation to calculate the value of rate constant. Obviously, since the order of the reaction is 2, the unit of rate constant is dm cube per mole per second, or moles per liter inverse second inverse. So basically this can be written as dm cube mole inverse second inverse. Now a very similar numerical out here. The initial rate of the reaction 2A plus 2B giving you C plus D is determined from different initial conditions with the results listed in the following table. So this is the table. The experiments were carried out 4 times. What we can see in experiment number 1 and experiment number 2 is that the initial concentration of A is kept constant, whereas the concentration of B is doubled. The rate of the reaction in this case increases. Now if you look at experiment number 2 and 4, you can see that the concentration of A is doubled, but the concentration of B is kept the same. In that case, the initial rate of the reaction has also doubled. We'll find the order of the reaction with respect to B first using experiments number 1 and 2, and then we'll find the order of the reaction with respect to A using experiments number 2 and 4. Rate of the reaction in general can be written as K times A raised to X, B raised to Y, and R1 can be written as K times 0.185 raised to X into 0.133 raised to Y. Similarly, the rate 2 can be written as again 0.185 raised to X into 0.266 raised to Y. So R1 upon R2 will be K and 0.185 raised to X will cancel out. So 0.133 upon 0.266 upon 0.266 raised to Y. Now R1 is 3.35 into 10 to the power minus 4. R2 is 1.35 into 10 to the power minus 3. And here 0.133 will cancel out with 0.266 and we'll get half raised to Y. Now effectively the right hand side is 3.35 divided by 13.5, and that is equal to 1 upon 2 raised to Y, or we can say 13.5 divided by 3.35 is equal to 2 to the power of Y, equal to 2 to the power Y. Now approximately this is 4, so 4 is 2 to the power Y, and therefore 2 square is equal to 2 to the power Y, and therefore Y is equal to 2. So the order of the reaction with respect to B is equal to 2. Similarly, if we take reaction number 2 and 4 into account, then we can write the rate law expression as K times 0.185 raised to X into 0.266 raised to Y, and rate 4 will be K times 0.370 raised to X into 0.266 raised to Y. So in that case we can take the ratio, and this time what we can cancel out is 0.266 raised to Y. So therefore what we'll get is 0.185 upon 0.370 whole thing raised to X. Now R2 is 1.35 into 10 to the power minus 3, and R4 is 2.7 into 10 to the power minus 3. So, and also on the right hand side, 0.1852s are 0.370. And therefore, we can write this as half raised to x. Now, this ratio is turning out to be half, and therefore we can conclude that x is equal to 1. Now, we also need to calculate the rate constant, but first of all, let me write down the rate law expression. The order of the reaction with respect to A is 1 and the order of the reaction with respect to B is 2. So it's a third order reaction. Now we can use the values from experiment number 1 to calculate the value of K. So if I make K the subject of the formula, we'll get rate of the reaction divided by A raised to 1 into concentration of B raised to 2. Now let me check. Now the rate of the reaction for experiment number 1 is 3.35 into 10 to the power minus 4. So 3.35 into 10 to the power minus 4, and the concentration of A is 0.185 and concentration of B is 0.133, and hence rate constant will be 0.102 dm raised to 6 mole raised to minus 2 second inverse. Now, why this unit? So, if you realize, the reaction was a third order reaction, and if it is a third order reaction, then the unit of rate constant is dm raised to 6 mole raised to minus 2 second inverse. Going to the next numerical, the reaction 2A gives B is first order in A with a rate constant of 2.8 into 10 to the power minus 2 second inverse at 80 degrees Celsius. How long will it take for A to decrease from 0.88 moles per liter to 0.14 moles per liter? So this is the initial concentration A, and this is the concentration at a given instance of time. So therefore I can say this is A minus X. Now it is a first order reaction. So if it is a first order reaction, the formula for rate constant is 2.303 by T log of A upon A minus X. They have given us the rate constant K. The initial concentration and the instantaneous concentration is also given. What is asked is the time. So we'll make T the subject of the formula. So we'll get 2.303 upon K log of A upon A minus X. So if we substitute the value of the rate constant, 2.8 into 10 to the power minus 2, A is 0.88 and A minus X is 0.14. So if we substitute this, we'll get an answer of 17.762 and the unit will be seconds. The unit is seconds because the unit of rate constant is given as second inverse. Suppose the unit of rate constant was minute inverse, then I would have written the unit of this answer as minutes. The next numerical, the first order reaction A giving you products has rate constant 2.95 into 10 to the power minus 3 second inverse. What percent of A remains after 150 seconds? So we need to find out what is the percentage of A remaining behind after 150 seconds. So what they are asking us to calculate is the instantaneous concentration at 150 seconds divided by the initial concentration into 100. So effectively this is A minus X upon A into 100. And we know very well that for a first order reaction, the rate constant is given by the formula 2.303 by T log of A upon A minus X. We know the value of rate constant 2.95 into 10 to the power minus 3. We even know the value of time 150 seconds. And what we don't know is A upon A minus X, but what we need is A minus X upon A. So let's rearrange and make log of A upon A minus X the subject of the formula. So in that case we'll get 2.95 into 10 to the power minus 3 into 150 divided by 2.303. This is effectively A0 upon A, and it turns out to be 0.192. So therefore, to find out A upon A minus X or A0 upon A, we can take the anti-log of 0.192, and that is 1.556. So therefore, A minus X upon A or A upon A0 will be equal to the reciprocal of 1.556, which is equal to 0.642. This means that the percentage of A remaining behind will be equal to 64.2%. Let's have a look at the next numerical. The decomposition of N2O5 to NO2 and O2 is a first order reaction with a rate constant of 4.80 into 10 to the power minus 4 second inverse at 45 degrees Celsius. The initial concentration of N2O5 is 1.65 into 10 to the power minus 2 moles per liter or moles per dm cube. Was the concentration after 825 seconds? How long would it take for the concentration of N2O5 to decrease to 1 into 10 raised to minus 2 moles per liter if its initial concentration was that given in A? Again, this is a first order reaction. Since it is a first order reaction, we can say T is equal to 2.303 upon K log of A upon A minus X. Now we know the initial concentration and they are asking us to find out the concentration after 825 seconds. So we need to find out the value of A minus X after 825 seconds. So let's take time as 825. The value of K is given to us as 4.80 into 10 to the power minus 4 log of 1.65 into 10 to the power minus 2 upon A minus X, which is the only unknown for us. So if we make log term as the subject of the formula, we will get 825 into 4.8 into 10 to the power minus 4 upon 2.303 on the right hand side. Now we can take anti-log on both the sides. So what we'll get is 1.65 into 10 to the power minus 2 upon A minus X is equal to anti-log of 825 into 4.8 into 10 to the power minus 4 divided by 2.303. If we simplify this further, we'll get anti-log of 0.171 and that is 1.485. So we can find out the value of a minus x on rearranging this equation, and the answer turns out to be 0.011 moles per liter or moles per dm cube. Now the next part of the numerical, they are asking us how long would it take for the concentration of N2O5 to decrease to 1 into 10 raised to minus 2 moles per liter if its initial concentration is same as earlier, that is 1.65 into 10 to the power minus 2. So we can again use the same formula. Now this time what they are asking us the value of time. The rate constant is already given to us, 4.80 into 10 to the power minus 4, and this time what is given to us is a as well as a minus x. The value of a minus x is 1 into 10 to the power minus 2 for the second part of the numerical. So let's solve it. T upon 2.303 k log of a upon a minus x. We need to find out the time. We know the rate constant, and even we know the value of a, which is 1.65 into 10 to the power minus 2, and that is divided by 1 into 10 to the power minus 2, which is effectively just 10 to the power minus 2. So the answer turns out to be 1041.147 seconds. Now the next one for us. For the following decomposition reaction, AB giving you A plus B, the rate of the reaction is K into AB square. So basically the order of the reaction is 2. How long will it take for AB to reach 1/3 of its original value of 1.5 moles per liter? What is the concentration of AB after 10 seconds? So in the first part of the question, they are asking us how long will it take for AB to reach 1/3 of its original value. So that means A minus X is 1/3 of A. The integrated rate law expression for a second order reaction can be written as K is equal to X upon AT into A minus X. Now from here, if A minus X is 1/3 of A, then X is equal to A minus 1/3 of A, which is 2/3 of A. So therefore X is 2/3 of A and A minus X is 1/3 of A. Now the rate constant is given to us as 0.2 liters per mole per second, and on the right hand side we can easily cancel out the A in the numerator and the denominator as well as the 3. So what we'll get is 2 upon A into T. The only unknown being T, as we know the initial concentration to be 1.5. This turns out to be 6.67 seconds. Now there is one more part to this numerical. What is AB after 10 seconds? So they are asking us what will be the concentration of AB after 10 seconds has elapsed. So what you can do is, we know the value of K, we know the value of time 10 seconds, we know X is 2/3 of A, A minus X is 1/3 of A. Now we know the value of K, which is 0.2. The value of X is what we don't know. The value of A is 1.5 moles per liter and the time is 10 seconds. So the only unknown is X, and once we know X, we can always calculate the value of A minus X. So let me write it down. The rate constant is 0.2. X is what we don't know. A is 1.5. The time is 10 seconds and A minus X is effectively 1.5 minus X.
So that means X is the only unknown and can be found, and the unit of X obviously will be moles per liter, moles per dm cube. And they are asking us what is the concentration of AB after 10 seconds. So what they are interested in is not X but A minus X. So once you calculate X, A minus X can also be calculated, and obviously the unit will be moles per dm cube. I'll leave this much of calculation to you all and go on to the next numerical. A decomposition reaction has a rate constant of 0.0012 year inverse. What is the half-life of this reaction, and how long does it take for the concentration of the reactant to reach 12.5% of its original value? Now, the rate constant and half-life for a first order reaction are related by the formula T half is equal to 0.693 upon K. We already know the value of K, that is 0.0012, and this turns out to be 577.5 years. Now the second part of the numerical is quite elementary. How long does it take for the concentration of the reactant to reach 12.5% of its original value? So from 100% to 50%, it takes one half-life, which is 577.5 years. From 50% to 25%, it will take one more 577.5 years, but overall time therefore will be 577.5, which is 1155 years. However, we don't want the concentration to be 25% of the original but 12.5% of the original. So from 25% to become half of that, which is 12.5%, it will take another 577.5 years, and that will make it a total of 1732.5 years. So if you realize, I did not use the integrated rate law equation out here at all, as the percentage was 12.5. Even if the percentage was half of 12.5, which is 6.25, I would have followed the same method and added one more 577.5 years to this particular answer. The next numerical now. It took 143 seconds for 50% of a particular substance to decompose. So that means the half-life of the reaction is 143 seconds. If the initial concentration was 0.06 moles per liter and the decomposition reaction follows the second order kinetics, what is the value of the rate constant? Now let's write the integrated rate law expression for a second order reaction. Now what we need to calculate is the rate constant. The value of X is obviously 50% of A, and therefore value of X is 0.5 times A, and similarly A minus X will be A minus 0.5 times A, which is 0.5A. If we substitute this in the integrated rate law expression, we'll get K is equal to 0.5A upon A into 143 into 0.5A. So 0.5A will cancel out and we are left with 1 upon A times 143. Initial concentration is given to us as 0.06. So small a is 0.06 into 143, and that makes our answer 0.116. And since it is a second order reaction, the unit of K is dm cube per mole per second inverse. Now let's have a look at this question. It's a little different from the earlier ones. Consider the following mechanism for the production of phosgene. Phosgene, I am sure all of you all know, is also called war gas, and the formula for phosgene is COCl2. The reaction mechanism is shown in 4 steps. We need to write a balanced equation for the reaction, list any catalyst, list if there are any intermediates, and write the rate law for the overall reaction. Now, if you realize, chlorine is splitting up into chlorine free radicals, and chlorine free radicals reacts with carbon monoxide to form COCl, and COCl will react with another chlorine molecule to form COCl2. The chlorine free radicals which were generated in the first step can be reconverted into chlorine as a termination step. So 2 chlorine atoms combine with each other to form chlorine gas. Now if we need to write the equation for this, then what we'll have to do is add up all the 4 reactions. Now if we add up the 4 reactions, the 2 chlorines here will cancel out with the 2 chlorines here. Then 1 chlorine here will cancel out with this chlorine. Apart from that, COCl will cancel out, and also one of the chlorine molecules will cancel out. So therefore what we are left with is CO, Cl and COCl2. So the reaction will be CO plus Cl2 will be COCl2. The B part, list any catalyst. Now if you look at it properly, it's the chlorine free radicals which react with carbon monoxide to form COCl can be acting as a catalyst. So Cl is likely to be a catalyst, and in that the intermediates that are formed are chlorine free radicals and COCl. So we can say intermediate is COCl, and the last part of the numerical, state the rate law expression. So it can be written as, and we can write rate of the reaction as K times concentration of COCl2 raised to some powers into concentration of Cl2 raised to some powers. Now we need to identify these 2 powers, the value of x and y. Now logic tells us that in the slowest step, which is step number 3, chlorine was involved and COCl were involved. Now if COCl was involved, then the rate of the reaction will depend on Cl as well as CO, and the rate of generation of Cl depends on this particular reaction, Cl2 giving you 2Cl. So in that case, the rate of the reaction is dependent on chlorine. In fact, the rate of the reaction can be written as chlorine's concentration raised to 2 into carbon monoxide concentration raised to 1. So overall order of the reaction is 3. Now I'll explain why I am proposing that the order of the reaction with respect to chlorine is 2. The rate determining step obviously is the slower step, and it involves 2 reactants, COCl and Cl2. So I can safely say that the rate of the reaction is dependent on chlorine concentration and COCl concentration. The concentration of COCl will depend on concentration of CO and Cl. So it will be concentration of CO into concentration of Cl. And the concentration of this Cl is from the previous step dependent on the concentration of chlorine. So therefore we can write this as K times Cl2 CO and Cl2, which will become K times Cl2 raised to 2 into carbon monoxide concentration. Now the next numerical, have a look at this isomerization reaction. It has an activation energy of 161 kilojoules per mole. If the rate constant at 600 Kelvin is 0.41 second inverse, what is it at 1000 Kelvin? So we'll have to use Arrhenius equation, which is log K2 by K1 is equal to energy of activation EAC upon 2.303 R into 1 upon T1 minus 1 upon T2. The temperatures are given in Kelvin, so no problems for us, and the value of K2 is to be found, but we know the value of K1, it is 0.41. The energy of activation is in kilojoules, and we'll have to convert it into joules by multiplying this value with 1000. The value of R is 8.314 and 1 upon T1 is 1 upon 600 minus 1 upon T2, which is 1 upon 1000. So log K2 upon 0.41 is effectively equal to 5.605. Now if I take the anti-log on both the sides, we'll get K2 upon 0.41 is equal to anti-log of 5.605, and that turns out to be, and therefore K2 turns out to be 0.41 times the anti-log of this value, and this turns out to be 165,113.98, and we can always write it as 1.65 into 10 to the power 5 second inverse. Another one out here, the rate constant of a reaction is 4.5 into 10 to the power minus 5 liters per mole second at 195 degrees Celsius and 3.20 into 10 to the power minus 3 liters per moles per second at 258 degrees Celsius. What is the activation energy of the reaction? Now again we'll use the Arrhenius equation, log K2 by K1 is equal to 2.303 is equal to energy of activation divided by 2.303 R into 1 upon T1 minus 1 upon T2. Now T1 and T2 are both measured. However, T1 and T2 are both given in degrees Celsius, but we'll have to convert it into Kelvin to get the correct answer. So log K2 is 3.2 into 10 to the power minus 3 and K1 is 4.5 into 10 to the power minus 5. Energy of activation is what we need to find out. The value of gas constant R is fixed at 8.314 joules per mole Kelvin, and temperatures have to be converted from degrees Celsius to Kelvin. The temperatures in Kelvin are 468 and 1 upon T2 is 1 upon 531. Now we can rearrange this equation and find out the energy of activation, and the energy of activation turns out to be 139,871.7, and obviously this unit will be joules. We can always write this answer in terms of kilojoules as 139.871 kilojoules. Now a few numericals for you all to solve. Ammonium ions plus nitride ions gives us nitrogen gas plus 2 water molecules. The rate of the reaction is K times ammonium concentration raised to N into nitride concentration raised to M. So N and M are the orders with respect to ammonium ions and nitrate ions. What we need to calculate is the value of N and M. So the data is given to you all. The experiment is carried out 3 times with different initial concentrations, and the rate of the reaction, each experiment is measured in the beginning itself, and from the data I'm sure you all can find out the value of small n and small m. The next one, the halogen astatine can only be obtained artificially through bombardment. It has been found to be useful for the treatment of certain types of cancer of the thyroid gland. One form of radioactive astatine is a particle emitter with a half-life of 7.21 hours. If a sample containing 0.1 milligrams of astatine is given to a person at 9 a.m. one morning, how much astatine will remain after 14 hours? So what they need us to calculate is the value of A minus X, and the value of A is already given to you as 0.1. Also, all radioactive samples follow first order kinetics, and hence you can easily calculate the rate constant knowing the half-life. So you can use the formula K is equal to 0.693 upon T half, and the half-life is 7.21 hours. The next one, the rate constant for the reaction H2 plus I2 giving you 2HI is 5.4 into 10 to the power minus 4 dm cube per mole per second at 326 degrees Celsius. At 410 degrees Celsius, the rate constant was found to be 2.8 into 10 to the power minus 2 liter or decimeter cube per mole per second. Calculate the energy of activation. So we can use the Arrhenius equation. However, before substituting the temperatures in the formula, convert the temperatures from degrees Celsius to Kelvin by adding 273 to 326 degrees Celsius as well as 410 degrees Celsius. So basically the values of K1 and K2 is given, the value of T1 and T2 is given, and the energy of activation EA is asked. So you can always use Arrhenius equation, which is log K2 upon K1 equal to energy of activation upon 2.303 times R into 1 upon T1 minus 1 upon T2. We have all the values except that of energy of activation, and therefore energy of activation can be easily calculated.